Okay, if everything has gone according to plan, we should be live on YouTube. Hello everyone and welcome back to a weekend of Avrona. It's been a very busy week when it comes to streams because we had one Prime Day stream and that was supposed to be it, but then people liked it so much I decided to do one the very next day where we did a bit more, where we took it a step further, like also doing peripherals and everything for the very first time, and that was a lot of fun. I think that was a really cool stream. And then of course, we have to do weekends with Avrona. So obviously, I wanted to talk about Xbox and also a bit about just the insanity of that AMD and OpenAI deal, because I don't think people realize how insane it is. And while I am no economic expert myself, holy wow, is that a big bubble. But we'll talk about it later. I wanted to really focus on the stuff relating to Xbox first and foremost because, yeah, they've misstepped quite a bit in this last couple of weeks, really, to the point where I really don't know what they could do to really regain the trust. Though, to be fair, I am someone who doesn't really see too much of a like too many things that consoles can even do to really make themselves really competitive and a really must-buy item anymore. For the longest time, it was simply just exclusive games and also local co-op. Those are the main things, but exclusive games have been slowly disappearing as people have been realizing that's just a very blatant anti-consumer move, and local co-op has been more moving towards online, especially after COVID, and especially since everyone has become very antisocial. So it has been a very difficult time for console manufacturers in general, and Xbox specifically, getting absolutely demolished by Sony the last 2 generations. There are some things which I think they could maybe do to somehow turn things around, but I'll get to that a bit later. First off, we need to address everything that's been going on. As you probably saw, they were raising the prices for Game Pass. However, that in itself was a much bigger nightmare for everyone involved than, well, anyone imagined. It's because, if I just kind of show you this little article here, we are now seeing that this whole rollout is kind of a mess, and they're kind of backtracking, kind of not, and whatever. It's been just communicated the worst way possible. So some people have been claiming that, at Microsoft, that it's basically people who are current subscribers are going to get grandfathered in. However, new subscribers are going to get the higher rate. But also, to basically do a bit of partly damage control, partly make things a bit clearer for the people watching, for the people who are actually subscribed, they started sending out emails, and we spent like a week, I say week, and the collective internet spent a week tracking what countries they even came from, because there's no official list from Microsoft or Xbox or anything. It's just the people online have to do the research themselves. That's how badly communicated this has been. But so far, people have been getting emails about the fact that their price isn't going up, at least just yet. And from what we can tell, it is mostly from the EU as well as Korea. So those are the 2 main places we have seen those emails come from so far. So, I don't believe anyone has reported anything like that in the UK yet, so it appears to not be like Europe as a whole, it's specifically EU. And then also, as you can see in this article, people have been getting that email as well if they've been subscribed in Korea. That is South Korea. I don't think they have Game Pass in North Korea as a blatant bourgeoisie excess. But anyway, it is... How can a company that big be this bad at PR and communicating to people? The fact that, again, we have to get these clarifications, the fact that people themselves have to put together lists of countries where this is actually happening to make any sense of it, is actually insane. But the way it is basically appearing so far, this is kind of what they said. Our recent Game Pass update remains unchanged, and like Microsoft's person said, current subscribers in certain countries will continue renewing at the existing price for now being the kind of crucial word there, which I'd say even makes it worse. Because at least if your price hike is right now, then, okay, that's at least you're going to get a definitive answer. Keeping people in suspense like this, I think that's even worse. you know, they're just holding up this sort of Damocles over it, and it's going to strike down at any second. I'd argue it's almost worse. And then that's also another crucial part, in line with local requirements. As we know, the EU is very they handle all of these kind of things very well, and that is why we're seeing so many of these emails coming from within the union. So again, that makes sense. We'll provide advance notice before price adjustments take effect in these countries. So again, why was that not communicated from the beginning? Why was the rollout of this information so horrendously handled? That is what I do not get at all. You are one of the biggest companies in the world, Microsoft. Like, do they not even have the money for a good PR department because they spend it all on Activision Blizzard King? And anything else attached to that whole conglomerate? It's so weird. I just don't get it. And so one thing I'm kind of wondering about is, given how many people have been already cancelling, even those that maybe technically are grandfathered into an older rate, or well, technically not getting a price hike just yet because they live in one of these lucky countries, even then, so many people have just boycotted it for the price increase. Seeing how Game Pass has gone from one of the best deals in gaming to just being so overly expensive, and that, and also just the fact of how badly this was executed by Microsoft also in its way deserves punishment. And so are the changes going to actually continue? Or are they going to see the pressure and they're going to come out with a nice clean statement? You know, Phil Spencer's going to come on stage and say, we're listening to your feedback, and we realize we missed the mark. And like, you know what I'm talking about, that kind of basic corporate talk, and they just take it back. I think that could be a possible chance, but again, they need to make their money back somehow for buying Activision Blizzard. And obviously another big reason for it is just the fact that Call of Duty was such a big part of the whole deal, and it ended up, you know, losing the company. I won't say losing, but people prefer getting it on Game Pass, which is the whole point of Game Pass, rather than buying the game outright. And then Xbox somehow were surprised that people prefer to pay less than to pay more. I do not get. I really do not get Xbox nowadays. And that brings us to an obvious question of what on earth can they even do to stay ahead in any way in the console wars. Obviously, for the longest time, their main weapon was the Game Pass. It was when nothing else was going away, they still had Game Pass. They still had that to come in. What is happening with my hair? I just noticed. There we go. Like, they had nothing apart from just Game Pass for a while in terms of really crucial features. And it's also becoming interesting now because of what we've been seeing between AMD and PlayStation. Now, when you have two of the main three consoles both developed by one company, in this case AMD, it also creates some very weird opportunities for sabotaging your enemies, you know? Because can't someone like Sony pay AMD or use other incentives to encourage them to prioritize R&D, prioritize development, prioritize manufacturing, prioritize new technology and marketing for their console and not for the Xbox, right? What is stopping? Maybe there's like, and I guess there's some like anti-monopoly laws to prevent that kind of thing, but at the same time, right now we have no idea if anything from Project Amethyst, which was extremely vague, is even coming to Xbox. Probably not, because we have probably heard about it by now. So all of those kind of features appear to be PlayStation exclusive. So what? Is Xbox just going to be way behind performance-wise? Or are they going to develop a completely different package of technologies for Xbox? It's weird. It's very weird right now when we have these two giants and that are now trying to justify their existence by all of these hardware changes to keep up with PC, and you have both of them created by the same company who can just peddle you the exact same stuff on both platforms. So what is stopping AMD from peddling the same thing, unless they'll have some very specific contracts about, you give us the good stuff, you give the other console the bad stuff. And so I'm wondering if they either have to really pay AMD well to develop something insane to make the Xbox really good on a hardware level, and even then, you know, there's still the question of why even bother going, and the value proposition, the dollar performance per dollar value has to still be amazing to even catch up with PCs. And then that still leaves the question of what else is there going to be to make the Xbox unique. Now, I think we are at a time when we need to begin experimenting, I say, with hardware. And I think this is going to be, I don't know how controversial it's going to be, but we need to start looking back at getting some additional hardware going for the Xbox apart from the console itself. And I'm thinking stuff like, obviously, VR would be a big thing. Even though VR is dying a slow and painful death, but that's a whole other topic. I'm actually playing a video, by the way, on that. I can update to my last video about how VR is kind of dead, and PC VR specifically. So that's coming soon. Definitely subscribe so you don't miss that. But even stuff like something like, I don't know, giving the Kinect another chance. That could at least be something to give the Xbox like an additional value proposition. But I don't know. For me, I'm just out of the console business completely, I'd say. Even for something like the Switch right now, which is a lot more just about exclusives. I don't care. I bought my Switch 2. I pre-ordered Switch 2. I did that unboxing video of it, and I haven't touched it since. It's just been sat there in a closet ever since launch, because there's like nothing interesting. The same with the consoles. There's like absolutely no reason for me to really buy any of them. So I think I'm just done with consoles unless they are the same age as me. Unless it's the PS2, then that's the console I've played the most in the past, I don't know, like a couple of years. The PS2 has been the console I've actually played the most. And another thing that's also made it a lot more difficult to get into the brand new generation is the fact that I didn't even realize that until very recently, until doing some research for this live stream. So, do you guys remember Xbox All Access? That was a program where you could get an Xbox and like 24 months of Game Pass Ultimate for like a ridiculously low price, right? So you got a Series X and Game Pass, and you just pay for the console and the service, like something like it was like super low, and you just pay monthly for 24 months and just get the console at the end of it. So it's basically like financing, but with Game Pass added in on top of it, and that was an amazing deal. And they stopped that as well. I just discovered that. That was pretty much the only way I would have gotten an Xbox Series X at this point. I was like tempted at some points, but like even then, the only game I would play on it is just like NHL, and that's it. So yeah, I think I'm just completely burned on consoles, unless they are from, you know, the 6th generation. Then you have my attention. So yeah, it's a very weird time, very weird time for consoles, for Xbox, and I really hope that they do come out of it. And okay, that sounds like they're just cancelling the Xbox. They're not. Obviously, we don't know not. We know that they aren't doing that, especially because they have secured a deal with AMD recently, and they even came out and said that no, we're not going anywhere, because so many people have been circulating rumors that the next gen Xbox was cancelled because of how badly everything has been going recently. But no. But I do feel that there has to be a balance of power. Even if I don't care about it, obviously the impacts on broader technology and gaming are huge of what the power dynamics are in the console business. And so that balance of power still has to kind of be maintained between Microsoft, Sony, and then Nintendo. Even Nintendo are mostly doing their own thing at this point. They're just kind of on the verges of a console war thing, but not quite in it. Just being, well, Nintendo. Anyway, one other thing I want to talk about, and that is how insane this whole situation is with OpenAI and AMD. So even Jensen Huang came out and said how he's just shocked by this deal between OpenAI and AMD. And obviously the biggest part of it is just the fact that Well, first off, 6 gigawatts of infrastructure. That's kind of a lot. But also that OpenAI can get 10% of AMD, making it a pretty substantial shareholder. So for comparison, 10% of AMD. Recently, the US federal government said that they want to purchase 10% of Intel, just to give you some kind of perspective. And the way it works is that OpenAI aren't getting that 10% straight away. They have the right of getting it. And the percentage of shares they are allowed to get goes up as they deploy more AMD-based AI infrastructure. So that's exactly how this deal works specifically. So it's not like they instantly own 10%, right? They basically have the right to own 10% that they can choose to exercise or not. So it's a very weird deal. They're still basically paying for all the hardware. They are paying for this Instinct, what are called MI450 series chips. However, they had an option of owning a bit of AMD, and that is so weird because they are like a customer. OpenAI is just another customer. Why do they get the right? What is so special apart from just the fact that it was some prerequisite for OpenAI going with AMD over Nvidia for this deal? Like maybe they wanted to roll out more Nvidia Blackwell chips, but AMD stepped up and said, how about we sweeten the deal and we offer you 10% of ourselves just to get you on our side. And that's just insane how much people care about having OpenAI on the side, given how much money there is behind it, even though it is pretty much just a circular motion, right? It is, all that money is now basically going in circles. That's the crazy part. That's the part that actually, I saw this little chart made here about how it is just, that money is just going in circles. Let me just quickly bring it up for you. So this is what it looks like right now. So you have companies like Microsoft and Nvidia paying into OpenAI then paying into AMD. So you literally have like Nvidia indirectly funding AMD and so on and so forth. All the money then coming from like Oracle and then going back to Oracle from like another part of this chain. This is such a beautiful representation of where this whole AI, like I said, bubble is right now. It's beautiful. It really is beautiful that it just looks like this now, and you just have this all-consuming globe of Nvidia in the very center of it all. And of course, we have seen that apart from OpenAI, they're investing in quite a few different AI projects, including Elon Musk's XAI, which, yeah, I don't know what they see in it that's worth investing. And also the fact that it's being run by Elon Musk, of all people, that they don't see how that in itself is a giant liability. But whatever. Nvidia are smart people. They've probably seen something about that is worth it. But yeah. So, like I said, we're in a situation where you have OpenAI using money from Nvidia that is then going to AMD. It is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. And when it pops, and will pop, and it will pop, and it's going to pop kind of soon, at least it looks like it soon, it's going to be glorious. But I think those are just kind of my main rants for this episode of Weekends with Runner. We have some very special ones coming up. We have some special projects. We have some very special products that are going to be coming on Weekends with Runner. We have some special guests coming up as well. So some of the upcoming shows are also going to be really, really fun. This was just kind of a very, again, brief show just to rant about things I've seen these past couple of weeks, and it's just depressing. It's been a while actually since we had Weekends with Ron, and there was just like nice, happy stuff, cool stuff being announced. Most of them recently has just been how the tech industry and the gaming industry and everything is just becoming worse in front of our very eyes. And that's kind of the sad part. But hey, I think as soon as we enter the new year, as soon as CES comes around, it's gonna become a lot more exciting again. And again, we will be at CES yet again. When the last year we'll be going again. I say last year, this year we're going again next year. It's gonna be great. So if you do want to support us going to CES, because believe it or not, it's kind of expensive to go from the UK to Las Vegas. Las Vegas is kind of an expensive city on its own. So yeah, if you do want to support that, then super chats, like literally any other ways, are awesome. You can just, Patreon's great, YouTube memberships are great, you're getting exclusive videos with that. I'm just finishing editing the vlog from IFA. Now it's happening in Berlin a while back, so you're going to get a vlog from that and stuff like that. So yeah, plenty of ways to support the channel to actually make the trip to Vegas viable. But for now, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this live stream. If you did, maybe subscribe, like, whatever, and I'll see you all in whatever I make next. Bye everyone. Goodbye.